Within the span of 1 year, we have the Ridiculous Six, the Magnificent Seven, and the Hateful Eight. Okay, Hollywood. The Hateful Eight is directed by Quentin Tarantino, stars Kurt Russell, Samuel L. Jackson, Tim Roth, and kind of Channing Tatum. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the blood. So everybody knows when you go to a Tarantino movie, you should expect blood. And we talk about the blood in Tarantino movies very differently than we talk about blood in most other films because it's become very much an expectation. You go see Tarantino movies to see gratuitous, bloody violence. And I have good and bad news about this depending on who you are. So good news in my eyes, but bad for some other people. This is not as gratuitous blood-wise as a lot of his other films. I mean, this is nowhere near as bloody as, say, Django or Kill Bill or any of those. There is blood, but it's sort of done in like, this scene has a lot of blood, and then no blood for a while. And then this scene has a lot of blood, and then no blood for a while. And the way that it's used is very strategically planned to give shock value in certain scenes that kind of need it. And it works really well. So one of the things I really enjoyed about this film is that there's not a lot of violence, which leads me into my next point, which is that this is a Tarantino film that's much more about his dialogue. From beginning to end, this is a talking movie. There is violence toward the end of the film, but until then, it's mostly a talking film. It's a group of people who know each other by reputation or maybe a little bit personally or don't know each other at all, who are thrown into basically a cabin for 2 or 3 days in a blizzard and can't leave. And it's very well handled because it's all about the intensity of the dialogue, which is, of course, because it's a Tarantino film, very, very, very well written. The dialogue in this film kept me on the edge of my seat. I mean, this film is 3 hours long, and I didn't look at my phone to see what time it was even once. I was glued to my seat, eyes locked on the screen, and I'm somebody that can't sit for a very long time, but I only got up once in this film to go to the bathroom, and that was it. And I was like rushing because I didn't want to miss anything about this film. It was so well handled, and it does not feel 3 hours long. Because one of the problems I've had with some other Tarantino films, even though I like all his films, is some of them feel a bit over long. They just drag a little bit in the middle for me, and it's like, and this film didn't. There was not a single scene in this film that I would have felt needed to be removed to keep it to an appropriate length. The only scene in this film that didn't work for me, and that's my one big issue with this film, was the scene that earned it its graphic nudity describer. It doesn't fit in the film. It has relation, without spoilers, it has relation to the characters and what's going on. But for me, it didn't feel like it fit in the film. It just felt very out of place, and it came off a little silly and very gratuitous, and it didn't work for me. It just seemed like it was there to be there. That's just how I felt. It just felt like it was there to be there and for no other reason. The cinematography in this film is beautiful, and most Tarantino films have really, really beautiful cinematography, but this is something special. The cinematography in this film is maybe my favorite of any of the Tarantino films because it's set in a beautiful setting with lots of snow and mountains, and it gets a lot of beautiful shots of this that are done very, very well. You get wide shots, but you don't just get wide shots because anybody can take a wide shot. No, this is the Tarantino film. So we get very intricately placed cameras getting beautiful shots and close-ups and then wide shots and moving shots of things that don't move. And it's very well handled. And the cinematography in this film is honestly beautiful. One of my favorite aspects of the film, anytime that somebody's outside, is just getting to see how well they capture the atmosphere outside of this little lodge that they're in, as well as the camera being in some weird places for lighting during the film, because you can see where, like, okay, there's light over here, but the camera's set where it's dark, and you can see where it changes from being dark to light And they do that a few times in the film, which I thought went along with the story really well, and I really enjoyed that particular choice. So with all that said and done, I mean, comparing this to, I'm going to compare this to Django for me because it's his other truly Western film, and all his films sort of are, but this is his one true Western, is this and Django, and I think I have more fun with Django Unchained. I think this is a better film. And I mean, again, this is an incredible film, and it's very, very fun to watch. There's not a moment of this film where I'm bored, where I'm looking at my clock, wishing that it would end, or feeling like it's lagging. And it's something that I felt with Django as well, because I do feel like with some of the older Tarantino films, if you watch Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction, which are fantastic films, there are a couple of scenes in those films where you're like, this is taking too long. This scene didn't need to be here, and it's slowing the film down. He's now mastered the art of not just having nonstop action, but of actually developing these characters in a way that's very, very interesting, and in never having a dull moment while still spending a lot of time just talking, which is really interesting. So my final grade for this film, I'm giving The Hateful Eight an A. So if you like Tarantino, if you like good Westerns and you're not easily offended, go see The Hateful Eight because it is worth your money. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.